Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're here with the Stronghold Beginners Academy Showcase Tournament Season 5. My name is Rose of Battle, and I am joined here with Remixed Fern. How are you doing?
I am good. I woke up way too late this morning.
Me too.
We, the set we have is these two teams are both sort of essentially confirmed for top cut, I believe. Our other set in the last round of groups is a decider. But first we have Drip Drop Die versus Project O.R.C.A.
Yeah, Drip Drop Die been doing a really good job this tournament. They have won every set. They've lost only a single game. 8 out of 9 wins here going in. So they've been doing very, very well here.
And comp-wise, I think the first thing I'm thinking about is I don't really see a solid anchor option for this team. There's the occasional backline weapon, but it doesn't seem to be a main one. So my guess is that they're probably going for a backless sort of structure. Hopefully with Nautilus. I would love to be able to cast Nautilus.
Love Nautilus. Yeah, that or I know a lot of teams will maybe their anchor pick is that heavy edit Splatling or maybe even the Jet Squelcher coming out from Timur, but that Jet Squelcher is such a different weapon compared to the rest of Timur's weapons that they play. It's just like we have a bunch of short range weapons, and then we have the Jet Squelcher. So it's like they have maybe a couple options, but they're not, say, a charger like you would typically think, like, oh, maybe something like the Snipe Rider or the Splat Charger or an E-Leader's, especially E-Leader's gonna really be the anchor, the backline. But it looks like this team plays fairly aggressively. I don't know if perhaps Winrina is gonna, throw us for a loop and pull out that Kraken E-Leader. Also, this is not the first time I've seen somebody who's like, I play Carbon Roller and also E-Leader. And then I just stare at them and I'm like, my friend, those are wildly different weapons. How do you switch between them in your brain?
Yeah, there is an Octobrush, an E-Leader player that I know of, at a pretty decent level. I feel like if we go to Rainmaker, we might see from Timur the Sea-Jet, we might see the Tri-Slosher. Both of those weapons could be really strong. I think this team looks like they have a pretty solid support core. They have multiple options for support shooters, but yeah, just the backline structure, and we could see the E-Leader. We also could see the heavy edit. They could even run I don't know, they could surprise us perhaps, or they could just run a Nautilus backline core. But yeah, I'm expecting them to run it down, just looking at the first weapon everyone listed.
Yes, I think they're going to want to play really fast and aggressive. Just looking at a lot of especially, things like Sploosh, you have those Dapple Dualies, things that are really going to want to move fast and aggressive. A Carbon, Luna, might not be the fastest weapon in the game, but it is going to get into your face and kill you very quickly. And then over on Project O.R.C.A's side, they have lost one match so far. They currently have a map wins rate of 4 wins out of 9 total. They definitely have definitely a different sort of comp. We clearly see Liko here being an anchor player, having a lot of different options from what we frequently see Snipe Riders being sort of the most common anchor pick, being able to provide a lot of cover for your team, provide a very important special in the form of the Tacticooler, while also I think that's going to benefit a lot of, you see the Tetra brush player going to want to play super fast and aggressive. We've got sitting on the Dapples, but even that cooler is going to really help out a Stamper. I wonder if we're going to see two teams play very aggressively, but O.R.C.A perhaps having more of that traditional backline support.
Yeah, this team definitely has more of a standard structure, but where they have a established backline and established support, they look like they have a really flexible frontline core. We could see them run a sort of dive comp with the Dapple and the Stamper and the Inkbrush, or they could go for a more like double like flexible weapon. They have a Dread, they have a Pro, so definitely a more standard structure. Like we'll see if that will be able to handle probably the amount of stuff that Drip Drop Die is gonna throw at them. So I think we're heading into the first game. Yeah.
Starting out on Museum D'Alfonsino Clam Blitz. I do wonder if we're going to see an E-leader come out. You said that, Nautilus!
Yeah. Nautilus Backline Core and a pretty heavy paint positive comp from Project O.R.C.A. 2 shooters against this like really aggro dive from Dripped Up Die. We'll see if they have enough paint for the carbon. But sort of posturing in mid right now. The Pro and Splash are just sort of getting paint in mid. Nautilus
it's gonna be very important. Like you said, that carbon's gonna need so much paint to be able to just threaten spaces a lot, even if they're not physically there. Just being able to put in like the psychological terror of a carbon could pop up at any moment. A really strong opening, I would say, especially from Project O.R.C.A. here. Drip Drop Die still maintaining a fair number of clams. Either team here, as soon as they get the picks that they need and have specials to be able to move forward and break out of mid onto the enemy's platform, is going to really enable who gets to score first here.
Oh. We've had a DC.
Well, that was in the first minute. Nobody has scored yet, so...
A solid
we got
minute
a little
of neutral.
preview.
Yeah, we got a we got a trailer for the set.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the Nautilus being there?
Yeah, like I have a moderate amount of thoughts about Anchor Nautilus. I feel like it can sometimes struggle to accomplish things, especially into that like a longer range comp like you have on the side of Project O.R.C.A. Like it's kind of the job you're doing if you're playing very Anchor, like you're kind of not going to be able to compete with a pencil. But I think if they lean into, I want to see them like play more aggressive and like be setting up lanes for their teammates, because I think like if you have, it's the Nautilus is so much pressure that if that your anchor is also the machine gun pointing at you from mid range, like you can like the War Project O.R.C.A. has a lot of, I would say definitely more special power and more like paint control and more range. They are a bit definitely weaker on their fighting power if this Nautilus gets more active. So that's what I'm hoping to see in as we play game 1 for real. But
going back to it for real, running it back. Traditionally, for myself, as somebody who is a Museum D'Alfonsino hater, because I don't play a long-range weapon, and my team has a very non-standard anchor pick of ours being a bow. This is not a strong map for whenever I can play on it, and typically that is against something like a Snipe Rider. If they set up, they can absolutely control the pace and tone of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, just thinking about the map, this map might be one of the best, if not the best, Nautilus map modes in the game, at least in my experience. So if the Nautilus can play fast, I think they can put out a ton of pressure. Now, we are loading back in, same comps, of course. We'll see if anyone wants to make a sort of big play that we didn't see last time.
Now, last time we started in just sort of trying to get that paint down in mid. People are going to be coming in, of course, getting that paint down is going to be so vital for this carbon over for Marina. They're going to want to start picking up clams. We already have a lot of clams over in the hands of Project O.R.C.A. Missiles already going out. Strikes already going out. Really, really fast special usage here. The Tacticooler's already out for Drip Drop Die. Timber is going to get picked off there. That's going to open things up possibly for Project O.R.C.A., but they've also lost their Splasher. Drip Drop Die doing a good job of holding this space right here, guarding this power claim, making sure it is not going to get picked up. That's going to stop Project O.R.C.A. for now.
Yeah. Now, that carbon does have a pick, but they're gonna struggle to walk up onto this stack on top mid. They do find a kill on the spot. So if they can clean up the Slosher in mid, they should be able to move onto ramp. Opening with the Zuka now, it's gonna find a pick. And Drip Drop Die, despite the sort of bad start to the game, they are fully in control of the opponent's plat. They're gonna trade out for that,
They
but the
are.
Carbon should find this kill bottom left. No!
Oh, yeah, that was
And
taken away from them. They are able to get one
tough.
power clam in, but
Yeah.
everybody else is down. That is just going to be one power clam, one and done. It is absolutely opening up the field for Project O.R.C.A. You can already see all of that green already put down here. When Reyna, sharking a little bit, is able to see where that Snipe Rider is, does get that really quick pick on them, which can be really, really important. Challenging the other one. I love that they're taking that as a team. Always really, really important to learn, like, how can we actually turn a 1v1 into a 2v1.
Yeah. I don't think they see Win right now. Yeah, that is a
Sneaky Carbon!
This Carbon has been breaking the game fully open for Drift Up Die. Off that pick, they have control of plat. They're gonna... The Zuka's gonna find one kill, maybe two. No. But it'll give Drift Up Die all the space they need to walk another basket on, and this slider is gigantic.
It didn't get a pick, but that was a great slider, just pushing them away, and it barely allowed Timur to live. It really opened up space for Drip Drop Die to get those clams in. Like you were saying earlier, during our preview to this, and also when we loaded back in, they need to play fast, because they know they're at a huge range disadvantage. You just gotta go full, send it, pedal to the metal, don't let up.
They've been pushed back in a mid, so we're back into a sort of neutral state. Project O.R.C.A opening with strikes, but they're gonna lose their pro in the middle, and it's sort of still a stalemate. Venomous walking up right side with the Nautilus. They'll have Cooler. I want to see when Rena start to walk in with it, but they're gonna get picked. And that should be Project O.R.C.A taking control of plat. A shark from the Zap means that is not happening yet, as they find one, maybe two picks. Maybe three? Somehow... that was like...
They're still alive!
Yeah. Extremely successful shark. Like, Project O.R.C.A has really struggled to, like, walk back up into the face of all these players with... I don't know if the Zap has Ninja Squid, but... Project O.R.C.A is not really able to clean them up, even when they have picks in neutral. So... they're going to sit, Winrina is sitting below drop, and they're not really going to find the pick, but able to stop this push from the pro. And, I mean, I don't know what Project O.R.C.A can do.
Yeah, I think at this point you have to, take a deep breath and go, hey, I think we're getting too scared to move forward. But however, Project O.R.C.A does open the basket. They're able to get in one of the power claims. They have another ready. It looks like it's going to be very difficult to get that back in on time. They were able to throw in one smaller claim to bring this down to 77. They have less than a minute to go. At this point, Project O.R.C.A is not fully out of the game yet. You never know what's going to happen in Clam Blitz. The most important thing here is they need to stay alive. They need to keep advantage of their turf. They need to get specials up and make sure they are controlling a lot of clams. There are a lot of clams on both sides of the field. Timur has been so aggressive this game, which you love to see on the Dapple Dualies, because Drip Drop Die keeps forcing their way in. Even if they don't get tons of points in, they're really just eating up time in the rest of this game. We only have 15 seconds left to go, Fern.
Yeah. Well, the Nautilus in its favorite position, sitting around ramp, they're gonna like really struggle to walk back into it. Venomous does back up. I think these specials are early. I don't think they have the full chances they think they do to walk back in. Timur is just sitting up here, and it does find the pick on that power clam, and yeah, I think this push is pretty much squashed. It is so probably going to be a game one for Drip Drop Die, unless they are able. Nah, the power clam is already gone.
That overtime timer is just about to end, and that is a wipeout onto Project O.R.C.A. Drip Drop Die taking that first game. They played that really aggressively, which is exactly what you were saying you were hoping you were going to see from them based on the weapons.
Yeah. I don't even, like, a lot of the time I think the Nautilus can exert a lot of pressure to stop people from moving up, but that game it was kind of just the shocking players. Like, whenever Project O.R.C.A was finding chances back into neutral, but every single time they had specials in mid, they had pink control, either the Zap or the Carbon or like even the Dapple once or twice, just utterly shutting down all of the pushes. And it like the scoreline of that game is pretty close. 46 to 77. Like Drip was not having gigantic pushes, but they had such a chokehold on Project O.R.C.A's actual entry that they like were unable to that Project O.R.C.A wasn't really able, that it was a more dominant game than the scoreline would like really tell you.
Yeah, they have a lot of map control, which is really important.
Which is
Moving
kind of an
on into
accomplishment
game 2.
when you're fighting N-Splash Pro and Pencil, to be honest.
Right? Right? You have like a carbon on your team.
Yeah. So
I think they are just doing a really good job of. They were able to keep a lot of that map control, even though they had less paint coming out from their own weapons, because they were exerting such aggression, threatening spots, sharking, enabling them to get those really important picks, so that even though, you know, Project O.R.C.A on paper has way more paint, they should be able to have more of the turf in their color, but they were just stuck, unable to move forward to take that space.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
how
the
do you feel
sharking
about Mako Mart tower control? What do you think? What do you think either team here? I'm gonna say, throwing out to either side here. What do you think either team should be focusing on with perhaps the weapons that we saw them play?
I think you're feeling good if you're Project O.R.C.A, considering you have a double strike comp and a slosher on Mako Mart. And if you're playing quickly, then this should be a pretty handleable game for you. I think this probably is one of the weaker modes.
Yeah, it can be a tough one. I wonder if this Dapple player is going to stay on the Dapple's Nouveau. They absolutely could. It's, as somebody who plays Reef Slider a lot, I'm frequently like, well, this is only going to go so well on tower control specifically. All right, and starting out in our second game between Drip Drop Die and Project O.R.C.A, we actually have definitely a comp switch. Like I was saying with the Dapple Dualies, they've actually swapped over to the third kit, which has Killer Whale. Honestly, you know, a kit that I like to run on tower control as well, but they are going to get picked off really early here. Quick pick on them, as well as onto the end zap. Drip Drop Die already going down 2 to start out this first push. And heading on in, so far things have not been going too well for either team here. So struggle trying to get back into mid here. The Wavebreaker already being popped out from that heavy splatling that's been brought in. We see that Luna Blaster is here now, already moving on in. Drip Drop Die is at the first checkpoint.
Yeah, they're playing a bit of a slower opening, and they got picked a lot for it. But like they have managed to wrest back control and secure the tower. The strikes though is gonna force them off. We'll see if the pen can find a pick on anyone striking bottom right. And this Luna is finding a jump direct on the right flank. They're going to have control of the entirety of Project O.R.C.A's plat. And this should be a very secure push for Drip Up Die. They have this is a position you dream about on Mako Mart TC that this Luna Blaster is in. If they can find a pick on and I don't know how
Really
you get out of this spot.
position.
For O.R.C.A. Yeah, it's there's nothing better you could ask for on this map. And the pen trying to wrap around right, maybe finding a pick on the tower, but I don't think they're going to have anything. Even if they find this kill, there's still kind of too many people. Oh, nope. With the strikes, they have managed to stop this push at 1.
They
And
have
that's
saved it.
Exactly the first push you want.
Yes. The only thing better is to get a knockout, but you can't be mad about going all the way to 1, especially on Mako Mart tower control. I don't actually see that many times that this ends in a knockout. Project O.R.C.A has to knock this out to win now. This Luna Blaster has been controlling so much space. This is a great stage for Luna Blaster, being able to challenge all of these ledges here from a safe distance. We saw earlier they chucked that Ultra Stamp absolutely taking somebody out. And when Rena, who was on the Carbon earlier, now on Luna, absolutely just being a menace around every ledge.
Yeah. Luna, like, they opened up this game. They are going for the exact same flank. They've found another double. And again, Drift Up Die just off the back of Winrena's entry as us just kind of dominating the map right now. We'll see if they can find a pick on this 96 as well. It's gonna be bad. It looks like they'll be able to.
They are just challenging things. You know, even if they get picked off there, because Winrena was challenging forward so much and drawing the rest of the team away, it created so much space for Drip Top Die. They're taking this to the very end, ending it in a knockout in a really dominant game to win.
Yeah, it's an extremely dominant game win. If you're Project O.R.C.A, I think you just have to look at yourself and be like, well, we gotta do something about the Luna. There's not much else to say, honestly. You played your opening fine, like, you played your neutral fine, and, like, the Luna is just walking over you. So, this is play all 3, correct?
Yes, yeah, play all 3. So, you know, obviously, Drip Drop Die is taking the set here, but Project O.R.C.A does have a chance to get a game win, which is important in a lot of these. You never know, you might win a tiebreaker for seeding, for deciding who's going into what bracket after groups. That can come down to your game wins. So it is really important to still win those game 3s and play all 3s. I've had so many people, even like people who are not beginners, people who've been playing comp for a really long time, be like, oh wait, like it's actually important that I win the game 3? And I'm like, yes, you should keep trying to win the game. Don't just give up after, don't be like, we won the match, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think in best of 3s, these game 3s can swing pretty often. Like, if you're the winning team, you kind of think, alright, we're good now. Like, you maybe lock in a little bit less. But, I mean, they're coming up on this is probably the map where they could be expected to struggle more if they weren't supposed to struggle on Museum. Definitely a more, like, mid-range, well, mid-long range favorite map, especially once the water drops. But you have a Nautilus player, and this is a fantastic map to be a Nautilus on hold. And also a really strong Carbon map, I think, if they can.
It is, definitely.
Find any sharks. But I mean, after that game, I think maybe you say, let's stick on Luna, it clearly works. So.
This is definitely a map that I think it can both reward and punish you for playing hyper aggressively. You could wipe by everybody going in way too deep and getting taken out. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Project O.R.C.A can take advantage of any potential mistakes that come up from Drip Drop Die here. And we've got some, interesting.
Yeah, because this is a smaller zone, it is a splashdown capable zone. So they have gone over to Nautilus 79. The other team swapping to a slider, of course, it is Mahi zones. So I think that might give them the advantage on this opening, but the Zap and the Luna pushing up very quickly, finding a double kill, and that bomb is so unfortunate. So Drip Up Die finding 3 kills on opening, and Simmer walking up. This cooler might be able to get punished. But I think Drip Up Die is instead deciding just to hold mid, try to get the water to drop, and then play to counter probably the slider, which they're expecting.
There we go, get that slider.
Yeah.
Also took out that Luna.
Yeah. See, like, the slider on this map is really strong, but it's only really strong if you have the lead. And that is going to be the hard part, I think, for Project O.R.C.A, but they do have a...
Yeah, the thing about the sliders, too, one thing I love using slider on this map for splats. It's a small enough map that you can really punish people for funneling in together. It'll be really, really important if Project O.R.C.A's Dreadringer can set up those aggressive sliders, not only to cap the zone, but also to get picks and Slider does come out, gets that pick, and keeps that zone painted in their favor. Project O.R.C.A now in the lead. We still have quite a ways to go. That triple splashdown is ready from the Nautilus, and here comes out, not onto zone, but does control some space over there. Drip Drop Die has the numbers advantage, getting 2 picks on Project Orca, capping that zone. Want to go in for a nice hold here, and they have plenty of map to ink. And moving on in, Project Orca's really trying to just break in here. That hammer, did you see that hammer?
Yeah, but the slider though, finding a pick even though it is going to get cancelled, and that is Project O.R.C.A sort of retaking the zone, another trade onto the Nautilus. But when Rena with the Luna Blaster, cleaning up the fight, although the Slusher is sort of sharking them right, they should be able to get punished, yeah. So that is going to be Drip Top Die, a bit of a scrappy sort of zone cap, but they do have some control of mid, it seems. Drip Top Die trying to walk back in. This Squeezer not finding that window with the splashdown, and a really good slider to clean up the mid, the fight in mid for Project O.R.C.A.
Project O.R.C.A still in the lead here. They're going through their penalty points. They do lose their Sniper Rider, and they have only a couple more penalty points to go. They're able to recap that zone. If they can keep it going, it's about to go neutral. Could even flip over to Drip Drop Die. That slider coming in there, helping get some assists there. Balooey, what a name. Keeping things painted. It is going back and forth a lot in this game. Only an actual 2-point difference here could increase to an even larger difference here. Balooey not playing a weapon great for taking that space here, but is able to keep 2 members of Project O.R.C.A at bay long enough for Drip Drop Die to get the lead. They are still holding it. They're in a really good spot to turn this into a 3-0.
Yeah, I actually really like that play from Balooey. He knows he has to do something about the slider before they can just sort of swoop in and cap zone again. And they were able to clean that fight up really easily. So now they have the slider for zone, but everywhere else is under the control. And the counter slider from Timur keeps the map firmly in the control of Drip Drop Die. And this is where you want to be against the slider comp. Even if they get stuff out on you, they do not have the lead. They can't like just stall out until the game ends. So this hammer throw, not finding a pick, and in fact 2 will go down for Drip Drop Die, but this...
Oh my gosh.
These, 2 on right,
the splashdown
should be able to clean them up. So,
yeah,
a dodge to the slider, and that slider really not finding much value. It'll only sort of delay the death of the Project O.R.C.A players. And so, Drip Drop Die, even though they've had a lot of specialists thrown at them, still in control.
And yeah, that is how they do it. They take it to that 3-0, able to hold on to Maki for the rest of that game, getting to a knockout. Wow, yeah, the slider v slider is always my favorite thing to see in any mode. We see it most often on splat zones just because the massive bit of explosion from the slider coming out. I love when I have slider ready and then I hear somebody else do a slider. It's just like the dopamine just like rushes to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna slide it them now.
Yeah, there was a slider versus splashdown interaction on left in one of those fights. There is a small gap where if the splashdown is descending as the slider blows up, you do kill the slider and you don't die. But that did not happen. It's and that's most of the time the slider is just going to sort of explode every aspect of the splashdown. So a pretty convincing series, I would say, for Drip Drop Die. They were playing fast, like they were playing aggressive the whole time. They were using their sharking power really well, and like honestly, slider comps on Manta are hard to win against at higher levels. So a really good like closing game for Drip Drop Die. And with that 3-0, they will be heading into top 4 as our first seed in the upper bracket, up against Bland's Decapitator.
Yeah, moving forward for these teams, Drip Drop Die, Inkfetti, Project O.R.C.A, and Bland Decapitator are moving on to the senior bracket, while Splatoon and Holy Sponge will be moving into the sophomore bracket. And I believe we're going to be seeing Inkfetti, and we'll be welcoming Project O.R.C.A back to the stage. Uh, Anything that you would like to see Project O.R.C.A do a little bit differently? I think we got to see really in that last game we just saw, Project O.R.C.A was making some good plays.
Yeah, I think I want them to use their specials like a little bit less all at once. I think especially in the first game or two, they were kind of like dumping specials on retake and sort of on entry to try to get things done. And I feel like you have relatively good fighting weapons in your Pro and Slusher and the other weapons they're running, and they can sort of do things without like missiles and booyah strikes. So I want to see them like use the specials like secondarily to what they can do main weapon wise. But we'll see. And I think before we head to our semifinal match, we will be moving on to a short break for our players to get into their rooms. So